What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. So we're talking about the Japanese V-Jump that was just released, and it's strange that we get information on a Sunday. That doesn't usually happen. In fact, YG organization hardly ever updates on Sunday, but I think it was a situation where they had this information. I think they actually posted the article on Friday, and I didn't cover it because all the effects were not translated. Like, they weren't guaranteed to be like 100% accurate, and they got better scans. So with better scans, you get, things like this where you can accurately just translate all the effects. And I am kind of surprised, but I really shouldn't be, that we're getting an Odd Eyes Synchro. I mean, if you just look at Odd Eyes, I believe that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, it is one of the main cards of the main character. And we started out with a pendulum, then they gave us a fusion, and Clash of Rebellion, we're getting an XC. So kind of makes sense that we'd be getting a synchro eventually. Now, I believe that this is a starter deck card. It says SD29. I don't know what the TCG name is going to be, or for that matter, what the release date. I mean, it could be kind of like forever. But this is Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. Obviously is a fire dragon. I count 7 stars. Looks like the ultra rare of the starter deck. 2500 attack, 2000 defense. I believe those are like Stardust stats, and it's generic, so you can literally just summon a debris dragon and you've already got this guy on board. The effect is pretty nifty. You can only use the one effect of Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon once per turn. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target one card in your pendulum zone, special summon it, and after you activate this effect, this card cannot attack for the rest of the turn. Effect number 2, your opponent cannot activate monster effects during the battle phase. All right, so I actually like both of those effects, to be honest. I like the effect number 2 because it's kind of a way to cheat the system. I mean, you can essentially have a full pendulum scale. You can go ahead and pendulum summon. Maybe if it's in the early game, you don't have a ton of resources to pendulum back, but then you can just make this and you can actually summon your scales. Now, during that turn that you actually summoned one of your scales, this guy can't attack, but the rest of your monsters can still attack. So you still could hypothetically OTK your opponent, especially if you're not only using the pendulum summon, but using one of the monsters as well. And then I like the second effect. The second effect is really, really, really practical. During the battle phase, no monsters can activate their effects. This means a lot. This actually means that you can kill things like Dante. They won't trigger. You can run over random face down monsters, Fire Hand, Ice Hand, Sir, Graph. You won't have to worry about any of that. And it also means that no battle phase tricks. If you're playing against Blackwings, Boojins, Sertellar Knights, there won't be any Honest. There won't be any of that, Kalute nonsense. So there's a ton of utility with this card. Destroying things in battle. It used to be one of those things where oh Lord, I have to kill this thing in battle, but I know it's going to trigger, because if I run over my opponent's window, they're just going to get a Shadow Fusion. Well, not with this guy, and he doesn't actually have to attack. He just has to be face up on the field. So the card is definitely legitimate. There are some other cards we want to talk about. Let's talk about this card. I believe this is a new Utopia card. It doesn't have rank. It doesn't look anything like Utopia at all. It's a light, so all Utopia cards are light. This is number 0, number S0, Utopic Z. Okay, its rank is 0. Actually, attack and defense are question marks. 3 number monsters of the same rank. Wow. Okay, I don't know if that's gonna happen that often, to be honest. This card's rank is always treated as 1, so I guess it kind of has rank. You can also exceed summon this card by discarding 1 rank up magic spell or a normal spell card and using a Utopia monster you control as exceed material. Exceed materials attached to that monster also become exceed materials on this card. Okay, so it's really not that difficult to summon. The exceed summon of this card cannot be negated. Wow, no solemn warning, and that's really, really good. No solemn warning, no Logia, no anything, basically. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's exceed summon. Okay, so no torrential tribute either. Just fuck it. Just throw out every good trap basically that you use to stop summons. Trap Trick, Trap Hole, Nightmare, Void Trap. Just throw all the motherfucking cards out of the window because you can't use any of them apparently. Effect number 3. This card gains 1,000 attack and defense for each Exceed material attached to it. Okay, we're still not done with your effect. My God. Effect number 4, once returned during either player's turn, you can detach 1 Exceed material from this card. Your opponent cannot activate effects or your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during this turn. Wow. This card is fucking insane. Oh my God. This card is really, really good. Dude, oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm trying to think of ways to like super Shrek this. Now I understand you have to like the fact that you just discard a rank up magic spell, like that's really not that big of a deal because all right, remember there are cards like rank up to 7th one that you can only use during the draw phase. You know what I mean? So like let's say you draw or let's say you get a rank up 7, use it that much, you know. You can't activate the way that it activates. So you could essentially go into a regular Utopia and then overlay for what's it called, like the Chaos Utopia, the one that when your opponent has like under 3,000 life points, you get the, or it's either, I think it's you. No, I think it's your opponent. You get the crazy effect of like constantly losing 500. It might be you or your opponent. You guys know the one I'm talking about. And then you can overlay for this on top of that by discarding that rank up 7th one, and you already have 3 Utopia plus the Utopia plus the Chaos Utopia. It's gonna be sitting at 4,000, man. That is insane. And then you just get all these crazy effects. My thing is this number 4 effect. Once returned during either player's turn, you can detach materials. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. That means if you're playing against Necros, right? Let's say they have that empty field that they like to go so much of. So you thought that you were going to get your spells back. You thought you were going to summon that Manju. How about this? Draw phase, activate this card's effect. You can't do shit. You can't do shit. All you can do is set cards. This is on crack because you can't even use your monster effects. Oh sure, you can summon that Manju, but you can't use its effect. All you have to, I guess you're just gonna set it or something like that. This card is very good, and to be honest, I think it's kind of practical because the fact that you can use dead rank up cards to summon this are good. The fact that you can get the Utopia and you can constantly get materials under it by ranking Utopia into, or by overlaying other Utopias, this card is amazing, to be honest. I'm just gonna say this card's amazing. Here's a card a lot of people were anticipating to be really good. It's kind of a little underwhelming. It's Mass Hero Blast. It's a Wind Warrior. In the TCG, I'm gonna be real. I have no idea how the fuck we're gonna summon this thing. In the OCG, they have Stratos, so like they don't have to worry about it. But 2,200 attack, 1,800 attack or defense. It is level 6. Must be special summoned by mass change and cannot be special summoned by any other ways. Effect number 1, if this card is special summon, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its current attack. So it's kind of like Gaia a little bit. You just summon and you cut your opponent's monster attack in half. Effect number 2, once per turn during either player's turn, you can pay 500 life points, then target one spell or trap your opponent controls, return it to the hand. I mean, I guess it's okay. You know, you can stop like a Phoenix Chain if your opponent tries to use it on your monster or something. If they try and activate a Call of the Haunted, you can bounce it to their hand before it like resolves. Same thing with like any mirrors, vanities, emptiness. It's fine. Maybe even face downs during your opponent's like end phase or whatever. But honestly, if they just would have made that, if they would have made that either player's field, this card would have been godly, because then you would have been able to bounce your own Call of the Haunted and Phoenix Chains. Like just that little change of effect would have made this card insanely good. I mean, it's probably a one. Well, in the OCG, it's probably a one of. In the TCG, don't run it because there are no reliable win targets. But if it would have been, you know, if it just would have been any spell or trap on the field, it would have been insane. Like I would have been willing to pay 1,000 life points for that, to bounce my own Phoenix Chain and Call on Haunted and shit. Like it would have been nuts. Same thing with Vanities. And then we have Red Eyes Tracer Dragon. This is a Dart Dragon. Obviously, it's more Red Eye support. Level 4, 1700, 1600. I'm gonna assume it's a dragon type. It wouldn't make sense if it wasn't. If a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's attack or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand and face up defense position. Not bad, 1600 defense. And if you do, summon as many of the destroyed monsters as possible in the same battle position. Now I wonder if when they say same battle position, do they mean the same position as the Red Eyes, or do they mean the same position it was destroyed in? Because that is kind of a big deal. I don't like the way that this is written. I can't really interpret it, to be honest. Effect number 2, you contribute this card during your main phase. This turn, you can normal summon one Red Eyes monster in addition to the normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. This card seems actually pretty decent. Not only is it just a normal summon that you get for your Red Eyes deck other than the Blackstone of Legend, but it's kind of really good against like Regeki and Dark Hole, which they don't really have to worry about in the OCG because they only have, what, one Dark Hole and no Regeki. But in the TCG, this shit is rampant. Like, you know, there's so many times your opponent be like Regeki for game, you know, you lose your monsters, they summon random garbage and attack when you can just... Okay, you Regeki me, and all right, I'm just going to summon this guy from my hand, and now I'm going to get all my shit back, and you're not going to be able to do anything. As long as, you know, those were Red Eyes monsters that you lost, your opponent's really not going to be able to do anything. This card seems really good against Torrential. It seems good against Dark Hole, good against Regeki, good against just anytime you attack into a Mirror Force. Even if your Red Eyes are just like destroyed by battle or something like that. If your opponent goes on a tirade and they just attack over like 3 monsters on your side of the field, maybe you had a Red Eyes and like maybe let's just fuck it, let's just say you had 2 Red Eyes, whatever, your opponent runs them both over. All right, well, you just summon this dude and get them both back, and then Draco sack your opponent or something like that. So the card seems legitimate, probably like a 1-of to me. And let's go ahead and talk about this this new Quasar Dragon, as people have been naming it. This will be the last card. Some of the other cards in here are just kind of like minor cards. I don't think that they're, you know, they're maybe archetype based. They're maybe not as hype or as important. So we'll talk about this. This is the Stardust Cipher Spark Dragon. It's a light dragon synchro effect monster, level 12. So not that many level 12 synchros in the game, to be honest. And 4,000. Clearly, Konami's trying to make like Quasar. Not only do you need 2 non-tuner synchro monsters, but you also have to have a tuner synchro monster as well. So, like, you know, Tech Genus, Hyper Librarian, Armades, and Formula Synchron. That's like the most common way that I've seen it being summoned. You might want to use like I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's that like power tool dragon? Is it like Life something dragon, Life Stream Dragon? I think that's like a tuner, and it also has it's also a synchro as well. Anyways, the effect says must first be special summoned, cannot be special summoned by any other ways, so no soul charge, unfortunately. Each card your opponent or each card you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects once per turn. That is really, really good because it obviously counts this, but then it counts spells and traps as well. So if your opponent has, let's say, Mystical Space Typhoon, it's pretty much useless against you because this card gives you blanket protection for everything. Cards like Dark Hole, cards like Regeki, basically any spot removal is just terrible if you have this card face up. The effect number 2 is nuts. Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster, or when your opponent's monster effect is activated, you can negate that effect, and if you do, destroy 1 card on the field. This effect is just, I think this effect is going to be so insane if you ever summon this thing. And it's because not only does it work on both turns, but it doesn't actually have to be on the field. So you can use it on Honest, you can use it on, you know, the Cerberus in the graveyard, you can use it on, you know, a Necro Gardener, basically any random crap that your opponent throws at you, a Valkyrus, you can pretty much just negate it. And then you get the destroy card on the field, and that effect not being optional does mean you would have to technically destroy your own cards, but all your cards are protected by its effect. So you could just say, all right, well, I target my random back row card, but since my card can't be destroyed, then its effect is really just invalid. So don't worry about if you have to activate this card and it's the only card on the field. You still won't lose out. And then effect number 3, because they just had to add more icing on that cake, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then special summon 1 level low or 1 level 8 or lower Stardust monster in your graveyard, special summon it. This effect can fact that it doesn't activate immediately. You know, maybe you're not ready to throw a Stardust Dragon out there, you know, during this turn. Maybe you don't have room for some stupid reason. Maybe you don't even have a Stardust. You can literally just make a Stardust like 5 turns after you've made this card if your opponent somehow is still in the game. And then you can summon your Stardust Dragon if it happens to die. So this card, the effect is practical because it doesn't automatically work. If you want it to automatically work, then if your opponent kills this, just summon the Stardust Dragon that turn. I mean, I don't know. Now, the one glaring weakness with this card is people will say clearly it can be targeted. Now, I don't think you're going to be able to target it with monster effects because chances are your opponent would just negate that. I think the scary thing you have to worry about is Dimensional Prison and Compulse Evacuation Device. Now, honestly, I don't even know if I would be attacking with this card, to be honest. I would just put it in defense mode. 4,000 defense. Good luck getting over that shit. But Evac Device could wreck this card. Now, Evac Device is at 3 in Japan, so, like, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to play this card with that card being at 3. But in the TCG, Evac Device is only at 1, which would leave your opponent, what? Book of Moon, Evac Device, and Book of Eclipse is, like, pretty much the only, like, legitimate outs to this card. And, even if you Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse it, you have to have, like, a pretty damn strong play to get rid of it after that, and that's still a minimum of 2 cards. So the card is definitely good. If you can stay away from Evac Device and Book of Moon, there should be no reason why if you drop this card you lose. Like it honestly is just that strong. So let me know what you guys think of these cards. I'm definitely excited for a couple of these. Out of these cards, this one intrigues me the most, honestly. Like, I know that we're getting a new Odd Eyes Synchro, but this one just seems insane. I mean, you can't negate its summon, you can't respond to effects, you can just skip your opponent's turn for the most part, and it's so freaking easy to summon, and also it just makes good use of rank up cards, you know what I mean? So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.